How's it going out there? I think I'm going to turn a small bowl today. Hopefully, if it works. If it doesn't, oh well, shit happens.
It's going to be an end grain one again, is it?
Oh no, it doesn't have to be. It can be turned around. It's a square. It's a cube. I didn't pay any attention to how I put it in. I just put it in there. You know me. Come on, far out,
Yes.
mate.
I know. Jeez.
Bloody hell.
Got to pay attention to what you're doing.
He's too
Planning
worried
is-
about having us hang out with him.
Planning is the key to everything with wood turning.
And I'm an hour late.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Where's your note?
I can't stick on here too long.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for coming anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said yesterday, Jamison, I love what you've done with your daughter's girlfriend. I really like that cherry blossom branch or whatever it is that on the outside.
You know what?
On
Actually,
the wall.
my brother-in-law painted that when he was staying in there.
Oh, yeah.
My wife went and put the tiger stripes or the zebra stripes on the floor, and then put clear coat over top of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Very, very effective anyway.
yeah. I live in an artsy fartsy house. Every one of us got a little niche of crafting.
Jay,
Yeah.
I give you a bit of a heads up. If you happen to see someone pop up to join, I invited the internationally known Lyle Jameson to stick his head in, either tonight, tomorrow night, depending on what, he's got some free time because he's interested just to see how the people get together and talk. It's like talking around the shop. He thinks that's such a good idea. And I said, well, it came from down under.
Can you have you got a link for him or anything?
No.
No?
I just sent him one. He only goes by email because he doesn't know how to make Facebook work.
All right.
I've known Lyle for probably 20 years.
Yep.
Technology isn't his thing. It's his wife's, but not him.
Hey,
Freight
Jay,
train.
you see that video of them making that spiral Christmas tree on the lathe?
Yeah, I did check that out. It was very trippy. I don't know if I'd be able to make the gears and stuff to just to even do that. My
Yeah.
workshop is very minimal, bare minimal with stuff. But it was interesting, that's for sure. Something different.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Is that better,
That's good.
Robbo?
Well, it's up to you.
You fuck that, Robo, and then don't give an opinion.
No,
Just
it
mess
depends,
with you, Robo.
it depends on the effect that you're aiming for.
Yeah.
So how's work going, Jameson?
It's pretty good. We
Yep.
pulled in, let's see, 10 spans of 3-phase wire in today. We got all the phases in. And all we got is the neutral to pull in the morning. Then once we get that in and sagged and tied in, then we do another 4 or 5 or 6 spans. A lot of curvy, hard corners and everything.
Yep.
Otherwise, if it's a straight stretch, we can go for miles on end.
Where are you pulling them to or from?
We're just pulling them from we're upgrading a, new power company or new uh, section of line for North Arkansas Electric, and changing it from a single phase to a 3-phase, and also raising up the power lines so that the fiber can come through, and it will have room, the fiber and telephone and everybody else.
Jay, not that one. It's cross grain.
So you do transmission lines.
No, I do
Bulk out.
distribution lines.
Oh,
So like to your house or to your work.
oh, service drops.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
used to call them.
Yeah, that's part of it. We do like the feeder lines that come from the substation that go through town, and then we'll drop off and go to a house or go to a business or whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just I am lucky as can be because I live like 4 houses from a delta 3-phase delta
Right.
drop, and
Just,
I just happened to ask when.
hang on a sec. I just need to ask Robbo something, please.
Yeah.
What's going on? What?
Right. You've got to use a bowl gouge on that because you're going cross grain, Jay.
Yeah.
You've got the grain running at right angles to the lathe bed, so you always use a bowl gouge in a situation like that.
All right. How you going, Steve?
G'day, Steve. Sorry, I
Sorry.
wasn't ignoring you.
Sorry, Dr. Bob. You can go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, now, sorry.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, I just am lucky because I kept looking at what's been strung out behind my house, and about 20 years ago.
Sorry,
that was
going to interrupt you again, Dr. Bob. No, come from the end up, Jay, from the centre out. Not down. It looks downhill, but it's not. You're actually going uphill in the grain, all right? You can run it right along the face, although I always prefer to start at one end and run right along. That's better. Good. Sorry.
Oh, that's
I
all right.
found that I had 3-phase behind my garage shop, and it was 220, well, 240.
Right.
And I kept talking to a friend of mine who works for Detroit Edison, who lives about 4 houses down, and he confirmed it. And it was like, that would be nice to run my lathe on because it'll run 3-phase. And lo and behold, he offered to drop it. But then when I saw it would make it commercial pricing and my household pricing would quadruple. So I decided not to.
Right.
Well, down here in Australia, it used to be that you could only get single phase 240 volt power. But with the advent of bigger air conditioners and everything these days that all run on 3-phase, most houses now are wired 3-phase right from the start.
Wow.
That's 450 volts, 480 volts.
480, yeah.
Oh, crazy Shepherd. That's a new one, I think.
How you going, Crazy Shepherd? What's your real name?
He's not a New
Or unless you just
not a New Zealander, is he?
Well, the girls finally got back to school today, and Brooklyn had taken 2 of those 3 mother silhouettes into the teachers, and they loved it. One of the teachers that she had been dealing with on the computer, she she kept dropping the heart, and I'm thinking, what in the world? And Brooklyn's like, she push it in the front, it would fall out. She push it in the back, it'd fall out. I'm like, something ain't right. I think what she had done is one side, the bevel goes down, so it makes a smaller heart, and she might have had it turned upside down and was trying to stick it in the wrong way, trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Hello.
Good day, Lewis.
As long as the teachers liked it, eh?
Yeah.
How you going, Lewis?
So now you've got an order for 350 of them, have you, Jamison?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Go get me some more red cedar and start whooping them out. They're fun to make. I like those. I mean, I just took a clip art image and decided that I was going to make the little heart into a picture frame. Did that, and then I extended down and made a tendon on the bottom of it and stick them in a mortise on a piece of pine for a base. They're fun. A big chunk of wood, Klondike. That's what's on the lathe tonight.
Yeah, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Can't you see it wobbling the lathe?
Yeah.
It's pine. It's just structural pine, Lewis.
So you just got a 4x4 piece of pine chunk?
Yeah, 90 by 90 this time, yeah.
90 by 90.
Yeah, that must really annoy you, Yanks, you know, because you can't. You say 2x4s, you can't change it with a 4x4.
Yeah, I know. It does drive me insane, especially when you got to buy them from the lumberyard or from the big box stores, and they're not true 2x4s and 4x4s and all that.
Yeah, well, they aren't out here either. That's the old Imperial Thorn sizes.
Yeah.
And once they're machined, Dave, can you mute, please? Yeah, I know. No, once they're machined, it comes down to 90 by, well, and this is the other problem. We've got our softwood measurements are different than our hardwood measurements.
Mm-hmm.
In softwood, it comes down to 90 by 45, which is your X2x4.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardwood comes down to 42 by 38, I think it is. Sorry. Comes down to 85 by 38. It's bloody annoying.
So when you say 90, you talking millimeters or centimeters?
No, millimeters. All timber measurements in width and thickness are millimeters. Lengths are sometimes millimeters, but mainly meters. Like you buy a 2.4, which is an 8 foot.
Yeah, 8-foot board.
Yeah.
Because my app here is showing me to be 3 9/16 inches at a feet. Or actually 0.09 feet. Well, God going.
Yeah.
I'm too tired.
No,
I ain't even mess with it.
no, it's funny, Klondike, Lewis, a lot of the sawmills still cut in imperial size. Like they'll still cut 4x4s, 4x2s, 2x1s and things like that.
Yeah, I think too. Go ahead.
Good day, Sid.
Crazy Shepherd says it's Jay's channel.
How you going, Sid?
Yeah, but he's not allowed to talk.
Yeah, nah, I'm just the host. I provide the bandwidth, and they come in and chat.
Just chatting in the shop.
Yep. And I also set a wooden flag. Crazy Shepherd did above.
Yeah, I was trying to work that one out actually, Crazy. Somebody asked it whose channel it was. Yeah, well, it's only Jay's channel, but we tend to take it over.
That's because he's getting much better at what he does.
Yeah. But at least we take it over with and still leave dignity to him and to his channel.
Well, this is right.
I know some of the lives that I've been on, and I'll go back every once in a while to them if I want, the Looney Farm, that the panel take over the channel and just toss it upside down, derail it, something fierce.
I like that. The panel take over the channel. Very, very poetic.
Yep.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, Jamison. Like, there's a couple I don't watch anymore for various reasons, but like, I don't see any reason for language in a lot of things. But then maybe I'm an old prude. I don't know.
I know there's times where it's hard for me to keep my language straight because, just with being a guy and being in the military and being a Marine and all the whatever excuses I want to come up with, I've got a potty mouth that's pretty bad.
Well, I can be too when I really get going.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, as a kid, there was only about 3 times that I had my mouth washed out with a bar of soap, and that kind of cured me.
Yeah, Steve, I know what you're talking about.
I had a professor in college, and was really interesting. His comment was, when you open your mouth, your brain parades by, and people judge you on that.
Yeah.
And you get thinking about that, at least, well, after I got out of the military, because I was pretty rough. But going into, university level, that made a big difference in my life.
You remember the Borax soap, that powdered? It was almost like Comet.
Yeah, borax from the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still mine it.
Yeah. Well, I ate it when I was in 3rd grade. I was forced to.
Ooh.
Oh, we're more civilized out here. It was velvet soap.
20
My mom would make me take and bite off a piece of bar soap, regular bar soap, and she would know if I had it because then I'd be blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
And I had to go to school sometimes with bar soap in my mouth.
Today, parent would go to jail for that.
Yeah.
Dead right.
Yep.
Now I got a question. Here. Oh, somebody's got something on in the background.
I got TV. What's going
Oh.
on? Is that it?
Jay, it's going to be a funny looking bowl.
Be a shop cup.
Yeah,
What?
I think it's going to be a funny looking bowl. It's going to be like a box, but it's going to be a side grain box. It'll look quite effective, actually. Just keep going, see how you go.
Sure? You sure about that?
Well, I've got no option now. No, don't even mention it, Sid. Oh, I forget he's got his screen up just in front of him now. He can actually read what's going on.
A lidded box. Still an option.
Nah, you call it what you want. I'm not putting a lid on it though. I'm putting my noodles in it.
Well, there you go. Okay, well, it's going to be a side grain box. So, well, folks, I just finished marking out my year planner for the rest of this year. See if I can get it up there. Are you shit of a thing?
Yeah. You cancel all those holiday trips and vacations and wild
Yeah,
winds.
2020 got cancelled.
2020 got cancelled.
Huh. Yep. That's crazy.
My wife ordered a new planner for next year. And the news agent said, "Are you sure you want one? Better not be like this year."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right, Sid, as long as we don't reboot bloody 2020.
Yeah, we'll just throw this year to the burn pile.
Good night, Lewis.
Good night, Klondike. Lewis.
Thanks for coming in, Lewis. Take it easy.
I was gonna
Oh,
say, I wouldn't have met none of y'all.
I could say something there, Sid, but I might get into trouble.
Why, it never stopped you before. Why now?
I thought I might be polite to dumb animals this week.
Oh, the
But Sid gave me
DAWG,
Sorry, what was that, Bob?
the DAWG Friday meeting. They're now being held at 2:00 Eastern time. I don't know how to adjust that offhand. It's too late. Is going to be texturing tools
Oh, yeah.
and showing the not just what people have done with them, but a lot of people have made their own over the years. So that's Friday's topic. If you're awake in time, I was told by the president of it that you talk you into coming because they don't have anybody at all that ever represented anything down under as part of their meetings, and they found it really enlightening. And in fact, several of them have been following you now online.
How going, Kay?
What was that, Joe?
Cade came and went.
Cade's knocking on the back door.
Yeah, he came in and he must have been something wrong with his sound, maybe.
Oh, here he
Pressing
comes.
the wrong button again there, Kate.
How's it going? I was reading the chat and I hit the wrong button again, of course. And then you did a thing. That must be my thing. How's everyone doing? Good?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, all good, thank you. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah, keeping busy, doing well.
Robo, are you not working today?
I have been this morning. I've been getting a few things. I've got to set the place up for students on the weekend, but at the moment I can't give a damn about the place at the moment. I just run out of enthusiasm for some reason.
I
The
hear you.
year's running down. You're allowed to.
You need some old gold, don't you?
Yeah, I got a block inside. Don't worry.
Well, if you believe the TV shows here on our Discovery Channel in Australia, you just go out and pick it up. Right off the ground. You don't even have to dig a hole.
How's it going, Jameson?
It's good.
Good.
Yep. Weather's been nice. Chilly in the mornings and warm in the afternoons.
That's good.
For
Good
December, it's pretty crazy seeing 63 to 65 degrees out.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, what you doing up there where I can't see you?
Oh.
Always worried.
Hey, Dr. Bob.
Hey.
How goes it?
Well, busy in the shop part of the day, and it's 36 here, and that's about what it's been all day, 36 to 38.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, it ain't that hot here, Jay. It's about 21 at the moment. Very nice.
That's what, I don't know. It's probably like minus 12 here.
You can't eat that. Where's Alf?
He tried. I saved him from him.
Well, it's 36 degrees here now, but like I said, it was like 65 here today.
Yeah, we still got some snow that's melting from earlier in the week.
Yeah, we haven't seen any good snow down here in a long time.
No. We
And
had
it was funny. It was funny when we moved down here in '93. I moved down from Iowa, so we were used to snow. Moved down here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it snows in here," but it's all gone by noon the next day. Our first snow was 20 inches. I'm like, "This ain't gonna be gone by noon." We were out of school for a week for that.
I remember years ago, God, it's probably 30 years ago, I had a big job in Phoenix, supervising the first privately owned telephone switch that tied directly to Ma Bell.
Mm.
and it was for 1,000 homes and businesses on their property. And it got hot, and in the fall, and you could see snow in the hills all the way around Phoenix, well, to the north and west. You'd see the snow way up in the mountains, but it'd still be hot down below. And then they had this freakish storm come in late September. And it's the first snowfall that they had seen in 7 years. And it laid down an inch overnight. And they closed the city because they didn't have enough wreckers that weren't wrecked themselves pulling cars from accidents.
Right.
They had to get city trucks out that, of course, no one had snow tires.
No.
They don't see snow. First time in like 20 years, they'd had more than a dusting that's gone within an hour or two. It lasted all day, and they let school out so the kids could play in it. Next day, it was gone. There was a lot of car accidents. The most they'd ever had. They outdid, I think it was like 6 months worth of accidents in one day.
Wow.
Wow.
All spinouts. Well, with the roads, as you know, in the north, they bank them. So there's a crest in the middle of the road, so the water runs off to the side and sewers. They don't even get enough rain to do that. If they know that there's going to rain, it goes along the road and then goes off to some major sewer somewhere. There's not enough for it to even go to the side of the road ever. So I've seen rainstorms there, and when it does, the city floods.
Yeah. Does that down in Tucson too.
Yeah, it does here too.
They just
Winter
don't build the
beavers and
drains there
streams.
big enough to handle the water for something like that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So what were you making today, Cade?
I was doing finials, knobs, ornaments, just finishing stuff on my finishing table that has to be done for Christmas.
That I
But-
must say that was an excellent production you did the other day.
Thanks.
One of the best
Thanks,
I'd seen.
Yvonne.
For beginners, it was perfect, but not insulting to people who knew what was going on. And that's a hard mix to do something about.
Yeah, an easy medium. You have to be right in the middle, in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Yep.
I seen the one today where you're making, I guess, finials or something, or maybe it was a decoration.
Yeah, finial for one of the ornaments.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, he was making wig stands, and all three pieces of it he turned during the demo and explained it all in simple for a pen turner to do.
Hmm.
You know, at least you know what the name of the tools are as a pen turner, and you
Right.
know if you get a catch, it can throw that tool and stab you. But that's about the level of where he was able to take people and explain without insulting anybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of Facebook pages that are like woodworkers for beginners and stuff like that, and they think that some people think that that's all that's supposed to be on there. So if it's somebody that's got a little better skills or whatnot post something, some people will even get nasty and say that stuff doesn't belong on this page. I'm like, no, that ain't the way this page was set up. It's supposed to help the newer guys learn the more techniques and trades.
Yeah.
And a lot of it too is just to show off our work too.
Yeah. Show off our work, show off our skills, inspire others, get inspired by others, and pretty much just share the craft. Right?
I agree, but I've seen
There's
too
a lot
many
of
people get scared away from looking at a lot of the stuff that you see in the semi-pro or the advanced amateur. They sit there and they look at it and they give up.
Right.
Mhm.
So there's got to be a section somewhere, like you get a beginner's handbook, turning 101. You don't start off with uh, a finial.
No, you'd start off with like a tool handle.
Well,
Yeah.
how to use the tools or the names of the tools, but build that into what's being taught for what you do, whatever you're going to turn.
Yeah.
I got a library of probably 500-600 books that I've collected over the years, and magazines, AAW magazines going back probably 40 years. And I got out of Europe some of theirs and that, plus books like mad because I've had people send them to me to review. It's nice to be on that circuit. But going to end up giving them to our club library. I've got a bunch already. Next time we open, we could take maybe 40 or 50 and add to the library.
Yeah.
I'm tired of dusting them.
Yeah. I just went through a whole pile of magazines, woodworking magazines that I probably won't use. I'll probably donate them to one of the clubs or library or something.
Well, I was looking at maybe a local high school and middle schools because they've now bought lathes for both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
that'd be a good resource
before,
for them.
but the way the liability and the insurance policies are looking at shop classes, making it more economical for them to have a good, safe shop. With SawStop, that has been a miracle for getting schools open.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I know it
That would
works
be-
because I stuck my finger in a blade on purpose to prove a point. I was scared shitless.
That's trust right there.
Not a bit. Now, and the thing is, I was talking and had my back to the saw, and I knew exactly where it was because I could see it in a mirror across the room. And I'm busy talking and put my hand back and hit the blade, and it stopped instantly. And there wasn't not a nick on my hand, not even scratched. Well, it was a little scratch, but it wasn't much at all. No blood, no. Would even need a Band-Aid, and it stopped dead. And the superintendent of schools and the school's liability manager said, "Does it do that all the time?" And everybody who was in the tech shop, wood shop at the time, come over to see what was going on. And I said, "Well, that's what it's for. It just cost you $90, Dr. Bob." And the president of the school board said, "Bill me."
that's
Yeah.
but
That's
the
all
problem there with the saw stop is that function can be overridden
Yeah, I can.
Yes,
if
but
you're
it
using
takes a key. It takes a key to turn it off.
yeah, well,
Like a
I'm
lockout.
sure there's kids in high school or tech schools out there that would see it as a challenge to see how they could short circuit the system, you know.
Yeah.
Well, they
Hot
they
wire
have
it.
they have a big policy that says if you get the school version, which is all encased and takes a special key to get into it and to get whatever, but that does. And we've also found that there's a company now out of Germany making a bandsaw but you can get retrofit bandsaw with saw stop brake in them.
Well, Bosch actually released a saw like the Saw Stop and got sued by Saw Stop, and they had to discontinue it, which I thought was a little bit of bad form actually. But anyway, that's
Oh yeah.
my-
Well, there's
my
a
thought.
licensing agreement that's being put together because schools won't buy a bandsaw or other saws like that if it doesn't have the automatic safety.
Yeah.
So
Like I was a bit, and this is just strictly my opinion, I was a bit appalled that Saw Stop actually tried to get the government to legislate that all saws had to have the Saw Stop thing fitted.
Yeah.
And I thought, geez, that's carrying it a bit far.
Mhm.
yeah,
That's a bit cheeky.
it comes down to insurance and liability.
I realise that, but no, in my opinion, what the owners of Saw Stop should have done was said, right, after 5 years, we will release the patent to anybody that wants to fit it, because we'll have made our money back by then, and we consider it a good safety item, and all saws should be, or all machinery should be fitted with something like this.
The last I heard, which was last February or March, is that SawStop is arranging a licensing agreement, but when it comes to the cartridge, you have to buy the cartridge directly from them
Oh,
because
that
of
sounds,
liability. They
yeah,
want
that
to-
sounds like a fair deal. Like,
and that's where the
but-
profit is in the cartridge. They get a license when it's installed, and then you get a fee on the cartridges.
hello, Dr. Bob mentioned texturing before, so Jay's gone and got his texturing thing out of the box.
Yeah, there you go.
It's funny enough that he mentioned it because I planned on doing it before he said it. So but yeah, that's okay.
Which brand texturing tools? I want.
Robert
the big one
Sorby.
or the small guy?
Mini.
They're both good.
I got the big one, but I've got a lot of
Really good.
round stuff.
It's got the interchangeable handle, and you can get 5 other different pieces, like a hollower and stuff like that.
I never looked in and got the hollower or nothing. I just got that smaller texturing tool a while ago. Back in the day.
Yeah, I was only interested in the texturing tool too, but it said it done other stuff too, so I thought, fair enough.
Yeah, I got the big one, and it was really odd how I got it. It was in a garage sale, and it cost me $5.
I find the mini one actually works better than the big one.
I can believe it. But for
Yeah.
$5, the woman had been using it on baking and pastry and stuff, but she found another kit that was designed for baking and pastry, but she'd used it for 2 or 3 years, you know. So it was in good condition because it had been well lubricated.
Yeah. I like them both. I just use the bigger one for bigger applications, the smaller one for boxes and smaller items.
Yeah.
But I don't texture too much. A bit here and a bit there.
Yeah, I got to make some stuff because that's the topic for Friday's AWDG is
Oh
texture
yeah, texturing.
tools.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes. So if you
I can bring a couple things.
jump in, yeah, they want people to show them what they've got and how they did them.
Okay.
Hannity was talking about that today because it was interesting how people do texturing, and there's so many ways of doing it, and the trim to go with it, and bands, and
Yeah.
so
You can make homemade tools too. Quite fairly inexpensive.
I
Yeah.
made one out of a drive sprocket from a bicycle once.
Yep. Any gear with a bearing in the center.
Yep.
Yeah.
Used that on an urn. That person wanted something different, and it was big enough to do it. They wanted a small squatty thing.
Mhm.
So I made a small squatty thing.
That's cool. They don't even necessarily need a bearing. You could just throw a gear on the shaft.
Yeah,
Something
that's
to keep it there.
actually what the smaller one uses. It just has no bearing in it at all. It's just a shaft through the centre with a bronze bush. But yeah, Steve, JVC owned the patent on the VHF tape, and they had to buy it from them. Now, Jay, you'll probably find that the texturing doesn't work real good on end grain like that.
Well, it took me a couple of goes, but to get it reasonably even. But it is definitely deeper down this end than this end.
Yeah, well, it'll be deeper on the end grain. It'll be torn on the end grain and not bad on the side grain.
Mm-hmm. You can clean it up with a wire brush or a soft brush or
what about like that? I don't like.
it works. Take some of the fuzz off anyway.
Yeah, that's about as close as I can come to not actually putting sandpaper on there.
Another way,
like a nylon brush or a nylon wheel you can throw in a Dremel. Obviously not too coarse because you'll sand it right off.
I'll just use this. Alright.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
Now, to really complete it, Jay, what you want is a blowtorch, and then you can burn it, and you'd be right. You live up to my saying then. Those that can't turn, texture, and burn.
Yeah. That's great. That's a good one. I'll have to save that one.
Not going to happen with this.
No,
I'll be here all bloody day trying to do it with this.
you're dead right. Might as well just sit it out in the sun.
Yeah, good idea.
Magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Oh.
G'day, Blair.
Oh yeah.
How you going, Blair?
Nice.
Yeah.
Howdy,
Nice,
Blair.
Steve. Hey, Blair. I saw they said hi earlier.
Oh, yeah, that came up. I must admit, that came up better than I thought it would on Pine.
Well, that's pine.
Yeah. Just structural pine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fairly
Nice
even.
spiral. Not too much tear out on the end grain. Probably because it's such a soft wood,
Yeah, didn't get much at all, really.
but looks good. You gonna hollow it out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Did you get any scroll sawing done today, Jameson?
No, I'm back to work. I didn't get home until 6:30 tonight.
No, okay. No worries. I'm on a relaxing night tonight too. Been working like a dog, getting all the Christmas stuff out the door and shipped.
Yeah. I got a few that I need to get finished up real quick. But I did send 2 of those mothered plaques out today with my youngest daughter. She took it to her teachers. They loved them. Got one more sitting in the shop that's done, but the teacher's already had her baby and she's on maternity leave, so she won't be back till next year.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah. But I gotta cut up some circle clock blanks for my wife. And I guess those cheap little battery operated mechanisms, I guess the shaft length must be different depending on which company you make, but surprise, surprise. Because
Oh yeah.
the first one I had cut out was out of a 1/4 inch thick board, and then stained it, and then she put her decals on it, and then she put epoxy on it. Well, the first set that we had of mechanisms fit just fine, but somewhere she took them out to put them somewhere else. We can't find them, so I bought another one from Walmart, and the daggone shaft's not long enough. So now I got to hollow out the back side so it sticks in a little bit deeper.
Jamison, they have there's a long and a short shaft in most clock mechanisms.
Yeah, I know.
They found out the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask me how I know.
So the last clock I actually made was a mantle clock. I made that in 9th grade.
That's cool. You still have it, or your parents have it?
Yeah, my mom's got it. I need to get another, either some new hands or new mechanism. I forget what she said was broke on it.
Cool.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
when I was
Good
little,
night, Steve. I'm fixing to head that way myself.
with my grandfather, he helped me put together a clock in his shop. And
Thanks for coming in, Steve.
Yeah, see
was
you
a
later, Steve.
wind-up mechanism,
Yeah.
a
Take
big
care,
wind-up
Steve.
clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was fussy about how the size of the cavity mattered for the sound of the chime because it had a gong in it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to do a cuckoo clock someday when you have time. They have like thousands of scroll sawed pieces.
No, yeah. The ones that interest me, and it'll be a while before I tackle something that big, was those gear clocks, the skeleton gear clocks.
Those are
Yeah.
cool.
They work better with CNC cutout.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of them
I
do.
tried the other way.
But CNC isn't woodworking, that's computer programming.
Right.
Yeah. You still got to paint it and stain it.
Yeah.
Decorate
Yeah.
it.
Mill your material to the size that the size that'll fit on your bed, and maybe the size that you're cutting into and all that stuff.
Yeah, when the tech shop was open, that was a project that for CNC that was one of the projects you had to complete in order to get certified to use the equipment.
Mhm.
And that was interesting. And it was a 4-hour class. And then you had a week to have your clock. And then you could sign up and use any of the CNC equipment. And they had a big water jet, commercial water jet. So the next thing a friend of mine did after he got it done, took the same G code and got a big piece of sheet metal, and he blew the thing up, and he made a clock that was 12 foot across.
Wow.
Wow.
That
That's cool.
the only problem was trying to figure out. He thought he knew what he had to have for motor. Well, he had to figure out what weights to put on the back of the hands for the motor.
Wow.
Sweet. That's a nice wood burner.
Yes.
Very nice.
She
That's
needs to
come
do a live.
That's come
Yeah.
up well, Amber.
Yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
that is
me.
awesome.
That's me begging for tea.
I've got its twin up here to do now. No, you can't see it, but Yeah.
I can just see a fade outline there.
yeah. Well done. All right, goodbye.
Sweet.
Does she sell them at a craft store? Her artwork?
Nah, just the same as me. It gets put in a drawer or on a cupboard somewhere, and it just sits.
Did
You
she
were
do
near
a
me,
practice?
I'd be buying it.
Did she do a
Yeah.
practice this morning?
Practice burning.
Yeah, she's learning.
Did you hear that, Robbo? Did you hear what she said?
No.
She said no.
Eh,
I'll slap her wrist the next time I see her.
Yeah.
All right.
What?
2:30.
Tooth
Goodbye.
hurt.
2:30.
Tooth hurty.
2:30.
Tooth hurty. Tooth.
2:30.
All right, gents. I gotta turn in.
Thanks for coming in, Jameson. Take it
Yep.
easy.
Not a problem. See y'all later.
See you
Bye-bye.
later.
See you later.
Later.
What did you say, Dr. Bob?
See you later, Sarge.
Okay. Yep, I'll see y'all later. Hey, Dr. Bob, I sent you a video to check out. It's not mine. It's just a YouTube or off the Facebook.
Okay, I'll look at it when this is over.
Yeah, no worries. It's just an interesting. I thought it was interesting. Kind of the high end version of using jigs on doing stuff on the turners on the lathes.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
All right,
Sounds
see y'all
cool.
later.
Take care.
All right, you too. See you, Sid.
Oh,
He likes that button the best, doesn't he, Cade? Hey, look at that.
I made it back.
Hey, she's trigger happy for the exit button.
Right? I'm thinking back button, and then it's always exit button. I gotta find a different button that'll bring me back. But just have
Do
it.
you have
I guess.
Do you have like an option where you can bring up all of the pages and tabs you've had open and clear it? Do you have that option on your phone?
Well, all the other tabs, yeah.
Yeah, you just go back through there. If you lose it.
Oh, okay.
How you going, Billy?
Cool. That's easy then.
So you most probably got 1 million tabs in there of this one link. However many times you've knocked yourself out and rejoined.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I think it's the same one. And then
They're just different links.
Oh, there's a StreamYard from maybe a couple days ago, and another one from a couple days ago, and another one from
Yeah,
a week
they
ago.
won't work. StreamYard's
Yeah,
a
I
one-time
know.
only.
All kinds of stuff open. Look at that. Oh, don't want to share that one. No, I'm just playing.
Was that for the RedTube channel, not the YouTube channel?
I don't know. Some. Was me, I swear.
Yeah, Dr. Bob, when I go back inside later, I'll send you a small video that my wife made this morning of the local parrots coming and run amok. They're loud.
Thank you.
Normally there's about 10 of them in the tree. There was only 2 of them today. I don't know how much I'm
early
looking.
was that?
Sorry?
How early was that?
It was about 9:30 this morning. They're still in the tree now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not too early.
Those other birds that I showed you, the minor bird, but they hate every other bird. They got a passionate hate for every other bird, so they'll try and shoo them away. And yeah, so the parrots will stand their ground because they're a lot larger. They'll sit there and sit there and sit there until they're full, you know. Stick my head out the shed, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Looking down at me. I don't know if I can get my camera out there, to be honest. I'll try. Oh, he's going off now.
I don't know. There's a fight.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're drunk yet or not.
Maybe they're camera shy.
They're in a date palm in the net house next to me, and I've got a rather large tree right outside my shed, so I can't see through that. Can't get the camera through that, I mean.
You know, you can have 2 live cameras on simultaneously within StreamYard.
Yeah, not on my computer, I can't. It's an old business computer that it won't even let me have a green screen.
When I saw the YouTube, well, I've been looking at configuring it myself, and I was impressed. A tricky way of doing it.
Yeah, no, I did look at that. Yeah, that video you sent me, Dr. Bob, on how to do the multi-streaming. Well, I've got my computer inside. My gaming computer could handle it, but not my little one out.
Yeah.
See, that was 1.3 seconds off. They aborted the launch 1.3 seconds before it was about to take off and do its first flight. SN8.
Huh.
So close, yet so far away. The AI aborted it because one of the Raptor engines was playing silly buggers.
So what you doing there, Cade?
Pardon?
It's like you're working on some piece.
I just got the micro mesh out because this is all ready to be buffed.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
all ready to be.
it glares. It's so polished.
Yeah, can see myself in it if I wanted to shave, but I don't shave too often.
Yeah, very nice. What wood is that?
This is mulberry. Actually, I can probably get some better light in here. You can see the color. Mm. See, it's quite yellow with like amberish brown reds in the heartwood. And it's like a golden yellow with green swirls in it. There you can
Yeah, very nice.
see it there.
Is that a local wood or is that a bought one?
Yeah, it's a local wood. It was a tree that got taken down on a lady's property, and she wanted a heirloom item made as a gift for her daughter for Christmas. So this is a little salad bowl out of the biggest part of the tree. So
Yeah, nice.
thanks. So I just gotta buff it and package it and drop it off and get paid. This week.
Can I be rude there, Cade? How much would you get for that?
This? Like 250.
Very good.
250 to this one's 250. Depending on the wood, could be a little bit less or a little bit more. But let me find a tape measure here and I'll tell you the diameter. It'll be in inches though, a real measurement.
It's all right. I'll get my calculator out.
Let me see. 8.5 inch. 8.5 inch deep. No, 8.5 inch diameter. 3.5 deep.
Yeah, so about 220 by 75.
Yeah. I hope that's right. I just agreed. I didn't do the math. I didn't feel like doing math tonight.
No, that's all right.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I have to do a lot of restoration work on old stuff, and I'm bisexual. I can talk in inches or metric.
Yeah, I'm starting to convert it a lot quicker. I mean, I'm so used to doing it in inches and fractions, but since I'm doing more Zoom calls and there's Europeans and Australians and people from all over the place in the meetings, they talk in all different measurements. So you got to be able to figure it out.
Yep.
I think if there's anything good that what you could say in 10 years that came out of the global COVID, is that people actually got to talk together more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Being online and finding people from all over the world and find that they have common interests. They often take a look at something and they look at it a little different. And when you listen to how they look at something, you learn to look at it that way too. You know, it's all in the perspective. So, and I think that's very positive.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it secluded a lot of people, this whole pandemic thing, but it made brought communities and like-minded people together worldwide who we wouldn't even have met otherwise, really.
Yeah, that's so true. And the internet providers, they have gone right along and they haven't gouged a lot of people to increase speeds, so they can actually do online stuff. And the software is getting better and better, so as they can do compression to get the signal back and forth for those that can't. And I think that's great. Everything's been seeing to work together.
Yeah.
A year
sure.
ago, would you have dreamed of just getting together and chatting with people all over the world, just as if they were neighbors?
Not really, no. I'd be concerned with long distance fees and whatnot. And my internet or cable provider robbing me with the charges.
I don't even have a landline in the house. I haven't had one in years. Everyone's got a cell phone.
Yeah, true.
And you can,
No,
in
just-
worst case, you can get a free phone number through Google Phone and put it in an old phone. And you have a VoIP phone on their network, and they don't charge you a thing for it if it's for home use. And it doesn't affect area codes whatsoever.
What, the landline?
Well, it's not a landline. It's tied to Google and it's on broadband. So it's a broadband phone only with a phone number.
No, just interested in how much you would get for that, because in Australia you'd be lucky to get, unless you went to a gallery or something, you would be lucky to get $50 or $60 for that size pole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But by the same token, you've established a certain market, which is to your benefit.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, it's hard in the beginning. I was giving my stuff away, and all family members got stuff, and then eventually you can't, they don't want it anymore, so you got to find other avenues to get rid of it. So you did all the craft shows and craft fairs and art shows and art fairs and work up to the gallery items. And
by the same token, you have to be good enough to get it into the galleries too. That's the other thing.
Yeah, they're all juried, so
Yeah.
You have to have something unique or something different.
Another place I found that seems to work, and I know a few people that play the game, is that they work with interior decorators and they give them a couple pieces of what they have done, not just, maybe it's a bowl on a table to show off something, but some odd shaped vase or vase or something like that that they can take and put dried flowers in and have it in their sample room for when they talk about as a decorator, or their office. And then there's always a tag on it that says who it's from or what it is. And they get a commission on selling your stuff. Then they start putting them in homes that are for sale, that they're dressing, as they call it. And there's prices on them, and those sell. I have a friend of mine that has supplied that a couple of years ago, and for homes that are for sale through realtors, and the people, they just love it. It's been there, and that's part of what attracted them, and some of the furniture that they lease or rent to put in for show purposes. But that's always something that seems to be tied in the purchase price because they liked it so much. And when you do that, everybody is making a markup.
Well, we deal a lot with, we've got about 6 or 7 interior decorators that we work with. And and there's probably 3 in America they're called wedding planners. Out here, the catering thingos where they want wooden things to hold flowers on the tables and little keepsakes for the guests to take away and that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
We've found that's pretty lucrative. But that hasn't been happening much this year.
When I lived in D.C. and actually Northern Virginia, right by the Beltway, I had a relative that she took care of wedding gowns, custom fitting them, having them custom made, rental for them, and ended up doing a lot of stuff for weddings, her little company. And I had more business than I knew what to do with just her alone for doing original stuff for weddings.
Yeah, I find year to year it changes too what might be lucrative depending on the trends, because one year it might be bowls, another year salad bowls, another year decorative bowls or boxes or trinkets, or you never know. You're always trying to come up with that $1 million idea.
Well, it varies. It actually varies in Australia, probably the same in the States, that even town to town, what people will buy is totally different.
That's true. That's very true, yeah.
Yeah, I got several friends that live up in central Michigan in the UP, and they do turning. And they make a killing doing bar mugs, stuff like that. Even bark on bar mug. You think that's ridiculous, but they make it out of a stem and glue a handle to it.
Edge bar mug?
Well, not the edge, but the body of it.
Oh, okay.
They simply drill it, epoxy the inside of it, epoxy the outside of it, the top where the lip is, and the rest is regular bark, and that's $150. But they put them in bars, and they're on the back bar, and people see them and they get a little drunk. Hey, that'd be an interesting mug, especially during hunting season. Let me see that. And yeah, 150, and it took about the most time it took was for the epoxy to harden.
That's cool. And then
They
you're
don't even
hunting and you cut your lip on the bark.
Well, no, it's cut back, so you don't have that from the top of the handle. Is they turn.
Oh, cool.
But the rest is bark.
That's a cool idea, though. That's interesting. Then you can use all the smaller limbs too of the tree. How much goes to waste?
And the bar buys them for like $75 a piece, and they sell them for $100, $150, and the drunker they get, the more they can raise the price. They never put a price tag on them.
Oh, for you, $200.
Or all the beer you can drink, $100 or $150, and all the beer you can drink in the next hour and a half. And promise we're not going to roll you for the rest.
That's a good deal.
But they're
easy.
easy.
You can drink over 150 in beer in an hour and a half.
Beer, that's a big profit item. But that's, that's what they do, and they hit. It's designed for tourists, the wannabes, as he calls them. They're just wannabes. It's like when I lived in Alaska, in Fox, all dirt roads, because you didn't pave a road, because in the winter the permafrost would tear it apart. You just graded it and graveled it every summer or every spring. And we in Fox, we had a bar that had a post office and a general store all in one building. But the post office was separated by the general store because they couldn't have a bar next to a post office in one building. But you get the Japanese tourists come in on the tour buses, and they'd stop there for, quote, an Alaskan lunch, whatever that is. And
Well,
they had the tables that were wire spools, the big spools, but the tops come off. And when the tourists come, you flip it over and let them carve their names in them.
well, in Australia, it can be the service station, caravan park, post office, general store, saddlery, all in one building. That's how big the town is.
Yeah, ours was that way, but you couldn't have a bar attached to a post office by federal law. So there had to be something between them.
Oh, yeah,
It was the same building, but
yeah,
they
internal
all
walls.
had doors. Yeah. And everybody knew when the tour bus was coming because then you put your old boots on, ragged boots, and your old, what looked like miner's clothes or lumber clothes, and you'd go up to the bar. And of course, you'd always have a straggly old haircut. And you'd have your gun on a holster because it's a carry state all the time. And you come in and you have to check your gun at the bar. But the only thing that Jake would say you'd have to prove it was empty. Rifles had to be hung behind the bar, but you could always have a 6-shooter. And the Japanese, with a tour bus, Gray Line tour bus would pull up and stop for an Alaskan lunch, authentic lunch. And as soon as the bus driver notified him on his CB radio they were coming, everybody there would get up and flip the tops over on the spools and get their knives out and start carving in the table, in the spool on one side. The Japanese would come in, and this was an Alaskan bar with old miners and whatever, and they figured that they always had to pay you for your picture because the Japanese have this problem, not a problem, but belief if they take your picture and don't give you something in exchange, they're taking part of your soul. So you give them, they give you something, and it's usually they buy you lunch. So you sit at a table and they come join you and they buy you lunch and you sit there and carve your name and then can I do that? And you loan them your knife so they can do it. You have your gun sitting on the table and it's totally empty. The bartender is always, Bill, check that. And they'd want to look at it because they'd never seen a cowboy gun. They've only seen Westerns, all fraud. They had an hour stop. You got a good meal and 4 or 5 tankards, and they picked it up, and then they took your picture out front, and they still had to pay you to take your picture, give you something in return. So you always got a free lunch. You just had to know when Gray Line tours were coming.
It's a good deal.
Oh, and they go gold panning. That was a big profit item. A friend of mine ran a little gold claim, and there was no gold there. He would buy raw gold and he'd plant it, but he wouldn't plant it in the water. He put fool's gold, and they'd buy a pan, and they didn't know what they were doing. They'd show them how, and it was like a 2-hour thing in the afternoon. And then they clean it out for you. Jack and his son would take the pans and clean it all out and get the sand and everything out. And it was always just because they could palm a few flecks of gold in there, and they get so excited that they found gold, and you didn't know what they were saying because very few of them spoke English. They had their tour guide, and then they'd go back and they had a little vial which was full of mineral oil because it magnified the gold, makes you look like you had more, about that big. And they'd put, even if you didn't get any, they'd put maybe a couple pennies worth at the time in, 4 or 5 flakes, screw the top on. And they were happy. They gave their $20 and they got about $1 worth of gold, if that much.
Jay,
Felt bad about doing that.
Yeah.
how game are you?
Go on. Give us a whirl. What do you got? What do you want me to do?
Why don't you colour that so as the colour gets down into the texturing and then sand off the outside? So the texturing, the colouring shows through the texturing.
How you going, Jup? Do you want me to put the colour in there and let it flick out?
No. Put the colour on the outside.
Yeah.
And let it dry. Maybe give it 1 or 2 or 3 coats.
Yeah.
And then sand off the outside to expose the wood again on the outside. So that the texturing, where you put the texturing, is showing the, yeah, I reckon that one stands out the best. And then you've got the, where you've textured it, you've got the little lines with the colour in it.
Yep. All right, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
G'day, Justin. How are you?
You want a link, Justin?
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me what people will pay for.
Hey, Justin. How's it going?
And you don't cheat them because they're extremely happy that they got it.
Yes, he would, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, no. He said he's good, thanks, but no link, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that same thing out west in Alberta at a couple of the gold mines that would get the runoff from the Yukon. So they made a big tourist thing out of it, and you go in there and you pan for gold, and you get a couple flakes of gold, and they put it in the vial, and it magnifies it, and everybody's happier than anything.
Yep.
I didn't want to use a rude analogy, but
Happy as pigs in shit, Kate. That's what you're trying to say.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. But then I was like, maybe not, but it works.
Well, you have to look at it. It's a life experience.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because you could walk through the mines and check out the mines, see the old rails, and well, who knows if it was a real one or not. It could have been a tourist-made one, for all the tourists know. But they had real mines there that did do real gold mining, but this was the tourist shop.
We've got the same thing in Victoria. It's called Sovereign Hill. It was a gold mine at a place called Ballarat, which is about 100 kilometres out of Melbourne. It's the second largest tourist attraction in Australia. And they actually have the cages and everything where you go down into the mine and have mine tours there. And they've got the old beam engines and everything that used to pump the water out of the mines, and you can do gold panning. And there was a wood turner there. I don't think he's there anymore. But there's a metal spinner there, and I love watching them spin metal. That really intrigues me.
That's cool. Yeah, this was very similar. And there was a blacksmith too, doing the old blacksmith back in the day thing.
Blacksmith, potter.
Yeah.
And tea rooms and all that sort of thing. And they're all dressed in authentic costumes.
Yeah.
But they've actually got a coach works there, and they restore a lot of the old horse-drawn coaches, including stage coaches and things like that. And the wheelwrights machine is absolutely fantastic to watch, where they make all the hubs and the spokes and everything.
Huh. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Do you have much dinosaurs and fossils and stuff in Australia? We have a huge one in Alberta.
Yeah, we've got
like Drumheller. It's like the desert of Canada.
Yeah, we've got I think it's Western Australia and also in the northern New South Wales or Queensland. But there's a lot of fossils and various things here. I'm one of them, of course.
One thing that I studied in college that really intrigued me is that, and I've had it come up with other scientists, is that there is a place in Australia that it's a unique area where it's in a volcanic area that has worn away. And that's how they know this is authentic, is that there has been a bowl that has been used for years, a natural bowl that the locals, be polite, have used as a fire pit. Because when they started cleaning it out and doing some archaeological work in the area, they kept finding all the ash and stuff like that that had been in there with other stones and all sorts of stuff that was discovered probably about 20 years ago. And it was a site of they claim, original habitation, with some of the bones that they had found that had been fossilized around there, human bones in the rock. Problem: when they took a compass to it, it was 180 degrees off from the poles.
Yeah, there's places where there's, I think they call it lodestone, where that can happen. I'm not familiar with the one you're talking about, Bob, but wouldn't surprise me. Australia's a strange country, full stop.
Well, they said the continent wasn't, a continent is constantly move, and Australia is one that has moved probably some of the most, Australia and New Zealand, since the Earth broke apart into land masses. But the interesting thing is that because it's opposite direction, the question is, how long was it in its first position to where it was in where it is now, and is it rotating? But it's, a million years worth to get to rotate. Well, that's conceivable.
Geez, don't say that. New Zealand will be hoping we get across to them.
Well, if you look at the landmass puzzles, the two pieces of land were probably connected at one time. Because of all the plate tectonics that we've seen, we've known the magnetic poles have switched at least twice since the Earth was formed. And the poles are moving. I mean, we used to think of the North Pole being up somewhere in North Bay and that, but now it's just outside of Newfoundland.
The North Pole?
Out in the ocean. The magnetic north.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not that close to the North Pole.
No, it's the magnetic north is different than physical north, and that's what keeps changing, is because that's function on the spin of the Earth, because it comes from the core. The magnetosphere, they call it, comes out one end, goes around, and goes in the other, just like when you were in school, you put a magnet on a piece of paper and sprinkle it with iron filings, and you can see how the magnetic fields connect. The Earth is the same way. They call it the magnetosphere, though. But that's what controls the northern lights. They're controlled by the magnetosphere.
Yeah, he might get seasick, Jup. Worst part is he mightn't find his way home after he leaves there. I'll be back in a minute.
the aurora borealis has always been something I loved to study. When I was in Alaska, I mean, in Fairbanks, you could hear the thing snap, crackle, pop. You know, lay outside and watch it.
Yeah. Pretty. Very pretty. Yeah. You
I
can
have
hear
been-
them in Anchorage, Northern Ontario too. You see them quite
Yep.
frequently and hear them.
Yeah. And if you get up close, we used to just lay down on the ground and look up. We were that
Yeah.
close. And that's one thing I've always loved doing is science. And regardless of what I had as a job, science like that always intrigued me. Even so much as that I underbid a contract just to do a film for the University of Alaska on it.
That's cool.
And they were studying it. It's the only rocket range in the United States that's totally run by a university and has the right to shoot rockets when they want to. But they're sounding rockets. They're reusable, most of them, and it's designed with stuff up in the atmosphere, in the aurora, is what they got their study for, and be able to sample to see what the aurora is really doing and what makes the aurora work.
Hit it with 80 grit sandpaper, Joe.
Cool.
Like I personally would run a chisel right along it, but
Yeah, very light cut. What type of dyes did you use?
Joe, I'll have to answer that one. I'll be back in a second. I'm making a cup of tea. I'm getting thirsty.
All right.
Yeah.
The dye is a liquid cosmetic dye. I used to make goat soap, and I had the colorants left lying around from that, so I'll just use that.
That works well. Glad you wore your mask. I was gonna say, are you holding your breath or wearing a mask? Because
yeah, no, I wear the mask. I've got asthma, so I'll need to protect my lungs.
Yeah. Anything in the paint, at least, let alone the wood dust.
Yeah.
Gary, do you have a sandpaper eraser?
A sandpaper eraser.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, come
Yeah,
on.
what's that?
It's an eraser, and it's about that long and an inch and a half by an inch and a half, and it's a rough one, and it's designed to clear and clean sandpaper out.
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah. I have one for my belt sander and disc sander. But yeah, it
Yeah.
does work well on your sandpaper, even if you.
it's meant to be no clog sandpaper, but the color gets stuck in it.
Yeah, it's because it made the wood wet, and it makes it
Yeah.
all gummy and moist and clogs the paper.
Yes.
So
I got two. I keep one in my power sanding station, and the other I keep on my lathe or near it, because when I do power sanding with the small 2-inch discs
yeah,
and 3-inch
I
discs,
do that too.
I just take and clean it on that, and then keep sanding and clean it again and sand.
Yeah.
The manufacturer doesn't want you to do that.
No, I know. They want you to use it on your belt sander and disc sander and just melts away in no time. I got one for my belt sander and disc sander, but when I'm sanding with the discs, I have one that I sort of use a bar clamp just to clamp it to the tailstock end of the lathe, and then just like you said, same thing.
Yep.
See you later, Sid.
Use it. Yeah.
See you later, Sid.
Take care, Sid.
And when they get too bad, you take it to your belt sander, and that cleans it up again.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But
I
I just
lost
leave
mine.
I leave the
Yeah.
pad on my drill, and I just take the drill and run on it, and then go back over it.
Hmm I
Yeah,
had
no.
one and lost it, so I went and bought another one. I ended up finding the first one the next day, so I
Naturally.
got a spare.
An old thong
Mhm.
works well too.
A
Not
what
the
does?
foot, a thong. You call them flip flops, I think.
Oh, I was like a thong, like a G-string. Like no, I
I
don't
knew
know.
that that's what you lot would think.
Like a G-string. That might work well. It might be hard on your fingers though. Yeah, the flip flops or the sandals.
But they're cheap. I mean, we go to Harbor Freight, and they're often free with a coupon.
Yeah, I think I go to Busy Bee and they're like $5 for a foot long one. Cut it
Yeah.
in half and lasts forever.
Oh yeah, I know. I've still got my name on them, which I put on there 8 years ago when I was doing a seminar and teaching at Tech Shop. They'd never seen them before, so I took them with me and locked them in my locker, and then they finally bought a bunch. And the name has just got down far enough where you can't see it. They don't wear out.
Yeah, for sure. They're pretty handy. I've also used the sole of an old boot. Like if it's that tan type rubbery bottom, like boot bottoms.
Yeah, they've got to be a crepe rubber.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll just burn and melt. Did you use a lacquer? Is that what you were spraying?
Well, no, that was just an alcohol-based spray, so I didn't have to use metho and try and I didn't want to wash off.
Oh yeah, and smudge the color. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
so
idea.
it's for electronics. That's the same job.
That's cool. Oh, okay. CO contact cleaner. Okay, cool.
Not something I went out and bought. It's just something I've had lying around for a long time. You know, one of those things you get and go, "Oh, I'll use that one day."
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
never use it again.
Yeah.
Until it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
the
I
bottom
need that.
Well, the bottom of it's gone a bit rusty. That's how long it's been sitting around for. So what have you been up to, Cade?
Not much. Well, no, that's an
Besides your
understatement.
Christmas prepping, rather?
Yeah, other than Christmas prepping and working and turning, just been did all my Christmas shopping online. Didn't feel
Yeah.
like going to the malls or anything.
Yep, that's a good call, that one.
But yeah, not much really. Just same shit, different day.
Yep. That's the thought that was running through my head when you said you're nothing different.
Yeah, pretty much same thing. It was pretty lax day today. Well, I was supposed to take the day off, but I can't just take the day off. I mean, I can fluff around and do minimal things throughout the day, but I still have to do something.
Yeah.
Like,
bit like Robbo. He's meant to retire, but he hasn't.
yeah, never stop doing what you love to do.
The day you do is the day you start dying.
Yeah, that's true.
Just be careful using that shine juice that it doesn't lift the stain out as well.
Yeah,
Jay.
that's why I've been going over it lightly because it did a little bit already, just there.
Yeah, I would have used lacquer on it. Just
Yeah.
spray lacquer.
Yeah, that's true.
My lacquer's going because it's getting low. I'll get paid tomorrow, so I'll go and buy some more. But
What was that again, Jay? How's it going? Oh, you missed out a put.
Okay, sorry. There's more ball bearing than clear at the moment. What clear stuff what lacquer did you say that's good for the paint on stuff, Robbo? What was the name?
Pretty well any of them. Like all my lacquers come out of a gun, so I use NC lacquers, but most of the craft lacquers are pretty good for that sort of thing anyway.
I've used a wide variety. Watco is okay. I find Beauty Tone is really good for dyes and colors and doesn't make it bleed. Or sometimes even the Krylon or Rust-Oleum type spray can ones, they work good too. The car brands.
Yeah,
We got Rust-Oleum here in our local hardware shop.
Yeah. And Krylon.
most of the spray on auto lacquers are pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty durable.
That doesn't look too bad, actually.
Yeah.
Looks good. Nice marbling, light and dark contrast. It's
Yeah.
Yes.
quite nice.
See, I can polish a turd. You need 3 people as a witness, and it needs to be live. So I'm covered. Got it all covered.
Now just stand inside the lip where you got that, where you overran the stain with your fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did any bleed through the end grain to the inside, or no?
Yeah, a little
Pretty
bit.
good if it didn't.
Only one piece, like right here, went through,
Okay.
and
No
it would
problem.
almost just looks like it's been splattered in there, like flicked in there from a paintbrush or something, you know. So it didn't
Yeah.
soak much.
That's good. Almost like blood splatter.
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
I did
Call
one
him.
like that, put dye on the outside and didn't peel the inside, and it seeped through the inside, and it looked like blood splatter because I was using a red dye on the outside. But it worked because the person who wanted it was sort of like a horror movie fan type thing.
Oh yeah, nice.
But at first I'm like, oh no, I just ruined this. It was like, no, man, it's awesome. I'm like, all right. You
It's
say
even
so.
better.
Right? The horror flick junkies, right?
I just found a picture of me as a horrific junkie.
I like a good horror movie. I'll finish
Part
that
of my
before.
garb for SCA, Society for Creative Anachronism.
Cool.
Put it up again, Bob, now that you're on the big screen.
Yeah. Oh, there we are. Cool.
Oh, geez, you were like me, had black hair.
Yep, sure did. Sure did.
Now you're just
That's how-
over
That's
foxes.
where we camped. And it was all pure camping for 2
Oh,
weeks
cool.
in Pennsylvania. And in the tent, I did wood turning on treadle lathe as a demonstration of early turning.
That'd be fun.
Well, there's a trick to it.
Yeah.
And it took a while to learn it. You got to rock back and forth with the treadle. So when you're rocking forward, you're actually cutting because the wood's coming to you, and then you lean back you don't lean back. Well, you lean back a bit because you want to keep a stiff arm holding your gouge or skew. You want to keep that because you're moving this way across the tool rest. So what you're doing is you're moving, but you're also going in and out because the lathe goes backwards. You know, it's a treadle lathe, early treadle lathes. So used to do demonstrations that way.
That's cool. I've seen those around. I mean, I have a buddy who has a shop in Toronto. It's called the Unplugged Workshop. So he's with that title, Unplugged Workshop. His mission is basically to use all unplugged machinery and hand tools. So a treadle lathe and hand tools and hand saws and hand planes and all that stuff. And he has a unplugged school, unplugged workshop school. So he teaches strictly traditional, old school, handheld tool woodworking and furniture making and design. It's really a cool place. And I was there teaching a demo one time. I brought my little mini lathe, and I saw the treadle lathe sitting off to the side in the corner, and I'm like, oh man, you got to let me try that thing. He's like, yeah, sure. So it was a treat. It was different. It was pretty cool to be like back in the back in the day.
Well, we've got the Henry Ford Museum in Greenfield Village within walking distance of where I live. It's maybe a mile. But when it's open full bore, and in the past, they have the village, which is homes from all over the world and the country have been taken apart piece by piece and moved there and reassembled, including the landscape. And Menlo Park, Edison's Menlo Park, they took 8 foot of dirt because he used to throw his trash out the windows. So they even moved that. And it's just as it was. But they also have a couple of places where they're doing old woodwork. They have a mill, this old sawmill, and they have people out there, and they pay you to sit there in period clothes turning wood and making bowls and stuff like that. And you make doggone good money. They pay you by the hour, plus you get to sell your own goods right there. And then they buy a bunch of it as part of it, and they put it in the gift shop for people who want to buy and have it shipped home. So our turners, that's a nice job, a gig to get, and they got the wardrobe for you, and you just sit there and turn, and you get a percentage of your sales. But it's on treadle lathes, and if it's in an old wood shop that's line driven, they make sure you know how to work in one, for safety purposes, but they want people to do that. And it's old farts like me that enjoy doing it, at a line shop. Because I just barely remember my grandfather's, so it was actually a great grandfather's shop that was line driven by a steam engine. And that was in Brantford, outside of Brantford. Have to get up in the morning and get the fire going, and if the apprentice didn't bank it right at night, but they had 8 or 9 employees working off of a line drive boiler shop making woodworking stuff at the time, stuff that was needed for the farmer.
Yeah, just to answer, Jup there, yes. It's getting a bit thin on top, though, Jup. But not quite as bad as yours yet. But no, I've tried it. I've used the treadle lathe, actually, Kate. I've even used the pole lathe. Too much like hard work as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, same here. I haven't tried the pole lathe, but I've tried the treadle. Yeah, that's true. They're different.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can see why they used to round things down with a draw knife before they put it on the lathe.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That'd be a cool gig at the old, like the historical sites where you're working on an old lathe. Would they have modern chucks, or would they be using all faceplates and square-headed screws, square-headed nails?
Yeah, it was mainly most of them used to use a faceplate, or they just hold it between centers. Like on pole lathes, they just held it between centers and actually hollowed it out until there was a little tit in the middle, and then they'd knock that out and take the little thing at the bottom just out with a chisel.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, a big long nib that goes to the base of the bowl or whatever, and
yeah, that's right.
After you hollow the whole side.
But you got to remember too that they weren't going for gallery type bowls; they were strictly functional. They were actually in use.
Yeah, yeah. Thick, functional, round and brown.
That's it.
Or oval, because they'd be turned wet and then warped.
Well, they were always turned wet too, and of course, most turners back prior to about, I suppose, the 80s, 1980s, most turners just used to turn spindle work, doing real turning, you know.
Yeah.
You just have to throw that in every time, don't you, Robbo?
Money, yep.
Yeah, I got some old walnut chairs. I got to restore and turn a bunch of spindles. The lady had a friend hold on and store these chairs for her, and I guess the friend had a little dog that liked to chew on wood, and it basically ruined her old antique, vintage, family heirloom style chairs.
Bummer.
She was devastated. Like, oh, thanks for holding on to my antique chairs for me. But yeah, so she dropped them off to me, and I have a set of 6 old walnut Windsor style, Victorian style sort of chairs.
Yep.
Dining style chairs. Yeah, and I have to redo all the dog chewed spindles. At least there's one spindle of each in good condition on each chair. So I have one of each cross spindle that I can use as my sort of story stick.
Yeah. Did they chew just the stretchers or the chair legs themselves?
Both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I made a conscious decision 12 years ago to never ever fix chairs again. I've fixed hundreds of them. It's a pain in the neck.
I hear that. I think after this round, they probably won't be doing any more chair restorations. I'll do your tables and table legs and whatnot, but no chairs.
No, chairs half the time you nearly destroy them getting apart. That's the problem.
Yeah. Can you use a heat gun to sort of make that process a little more successful?
No.
Like an old automotive paint gun, or no, it doesn't really work all that well?
What, for lacquering them?
No, to dislodge the glue to get all the spindles and runners and what apart.
If they're true antiques, it'll be hide glue that they're held together with. And the way you get rid of hide glue is boiling water. And if you can get a syringe, that's even better to get the water down into the joins, because what happens is the hide glue melts. It goes back to its liquid state again, and then you can get it out. But if somebody's used PVA or anything like that on them, then it suddenly becomes hard work.
Yeah, you're screwed. You have to break them apart.
Just about, yeah.
Okay.
You want to see
But at least saw them off flush and re-drill the screws, if you can at least salvage the outer parameters.
Yeah. Sorry, Bob. What were you going to say?
You want to see a stupid picture?
Sure.
You want to put me up on frame?
As long as it's
was
PG.
me in 1947.
God, you had headphones glued to your ears then.
That's great.
Well, my family my uncle was an engineer at the local radio station. And my grandmother worked up there as a voice in old radio shows.
Oh.
You haven't got a beard in that picture.
Nope. But that was me at one of the councils. My mother got the picture. And it's been passed down, and I thought it was totally lost, and I was going through my photo archives, and up it pops. I was a geek even at that age. But that had to have been 47, 48 at the most. But
you didn't have a beard then.
No, but it does show my vision problem. You can tell in my one eye how it
Yeah.
aimed in. I just noticed that. But that was for the night announcer's position after the station just started playing music at night because old phonograph records, 78s. But they
Must
were
have been
10-inch records.
Must have been a wild station for him to sit on the table like that.
Yeah.
He was the only one there.
DJ Dr. Bob.
Yep, that's they just did that to make my mother pissed.
That's great.
Because I could flip a switch in the station and go off the air, but I was too scared to do anything. Oh. Yeah, when you go through old pictures, there's a lot of stuff you find that you never realized that's still sitting as collectibles.
Well, I must admit there's not many pictures of me even growing up. We've got a couple of family portraits, and that's about it. Just a few odd ones here and there because Mum and Dad could never afford the film for the camera.
This is Jake. This is my big hollowing tool. That one of them that I developed, sitting on my lathe.
Cool.
Because I like to have, that's a 1-inch bar on that, and Thompson handle. And I think I have a teardrop carbide on it.
That tool is about as long as my lathe.
Probably that or a little longer, but I put it under my arm. It goes in my armpit. The handle does when I use it. My arm sits on it to help stabilize it to absorb any vibration. Because there are some times that you just can't use a captive system, or you're too lazy to put it together.
Yeah. I'm just too frugal to buy one. I use hand tools and strong arm.
Well, I helped design the stuff, so I get it.
Well, I meant like too frugal to use like the captive system or these high-end hollowing system. I do it more with hand tools.
I have to admit, I don't do much hollowing at all. So, in fact, I've only ever made about 3 hollow vessels, I think.
Yeah, I've done a fair bit. I don't know, maybe a fair bit. I can't remember how many I've done.
A couple I've actually done. I've done them in 2 halves, like done the top and the bottom and then joined them back together again. And
oh yeah, like a box joint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that works well. I've done that too before. You mask it with a bead or a burn line, or and you can make some really big vessels that way too.
Yeah, I must admit I'm a fan of that too, Juppy. I'm a fan of the try once, buy once, cry once.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that's cheating, but you can get some interesting effects sometimes doing it that way.
Yeah.
I'm all into making things as easy as I can.
Yeah, easy, quick, less effort.
You forgot cheap.
Cheap.
Well, cheap too, yeah.
It's frugal, not cheap.
I'm neither of those. I'm just a tight ass.
Well, I'm kind of lucky. All the hollowing stuff I've worked on in the past 15 years has been sponsored by companies. So, and then I keep everything that I invent. Because I always make 3 copies of everything. one to send to the client, one to secure for copyright purposes, and then one I use.
Yeah. Oh. Now what you doing? Oh, Jam Chuck, take the tenon off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is one well-used jam truck. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, it works. That router matter, the drawer liner works wonders with the on the ends of it, so it doesn't mar it or mark it or dent it or.
Yeah, a bit of non-stick mat.
That's my shop dog.
Hang on, there you go. Hello, shop dog.
Is that a pity? Pitbull?
Yep, yep.
That's nice.
He just
They're
lays
nice
on the
dogs.
mat. Oh yeah. Name's Riley.
Cute. They can be great dogs. I mean, they get such a bad name because, but
Yeah.
they're really good, loyal, protective dogs.
Oh yeah.
Well, dogs to a certain extent are like people. You get back what you treat them like.
Oh yeah, it's totally a nature versus nurture type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock this off, and then I'm gonna knock it on the head because I've been given my 10-minute warning.
No worries. It's 12:20 here, so
Yeah.
it's no big deal.
You know, half the things in a turner's repertoire would never be turned without CA glue. I very rarely use it, but I've been known to use a lot of car bog to block up veranda posts and things where they've chipped out or something.
Oh yeah. What's that stuff?
Fiberglass filler. It turns absolutely beautiful. Like,
And it comes in liquid, or is it like the fiberglass you layer and put the epoxy over top like the car fiberglass?
no, it's like the stuff you use for fixing dents in cars where they
Mesh?
they pull it out and it's a two-part mix. You have a thing on it's we call it.
It looks like a putty cade.
It's putty, basically
Yeah.
putty.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's
Like
a plastic-
Play-Doh or milliput epoxy type stuff.
Yeah, but it's you can get it mixed with fiberglass strands, but we don't use that. We just use the ordinary plastic filler. Can form beautiful beads and coves with it, actually. It holds a nice straight edge.
That's cool. Just fiberglass filler.
Yeah, fiberglass filler. Car bog, we call it. Don't know what they call it in the States.
Okay. I'll just Google it.
If you went to a spray painter's supply store or a car store, they'd have it on the shelf. Fiberglass filler.
Okay. There's a few of them around the area.
Sorry, I can't hear you with the.
There's a few of them around the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, the car, like Hotspot or CarQuest or different car.
Yeah. Anywhere that sells spray painting supplies in particular will have it.
Okay.
Like car spraying places. If you watch them repair a car, they'll get the dent out as far as they can, and then they put a smear of this fiberglass filler over it, and then sand it back to get it flat.
Yeah. Okay.
Before they paint it.
So it's probably the same stuff. Like, I know when you do fiberglassing on a car, you have the mesh fiberglass sort of like cheesecloth material that you, and then you use a paste or an epoxy type putty that goes over it. You're
Yeah,
probably talking about the putty and not the mesh fiberglass, just the
No.
putty that adheres it all together.
With fiberglassing, you're using the mat, which is what that stuff's called. It's a mat or a chopped strand. That you've got your resin, you put a layer of resin on, and then you put the chopped strand or the mat on, and
Yeah.
then you put another layer of fiberglass resin over the top of that and did it in. No, it's not the fiberglass resin. It's actually a 2-part plastic mix more than anything else. But it doesn't.
Okay.
A lot of people use what's called builder's bog out here, or I think there's one in America. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's clay based. And man, if you want to destroy the edge on a chisel, use that. Whew.
Yeah, I hear that. I did that burl and put that amethyst in a couple of the voids, and of course there's a void right on the bottom. So I just filled it up just below where I had to take the tenon off. Of course there's a couple rocks mixed in epoxy and little grooves off to the side. So I hit it with my tool and bam, the edge is gone in no time. It just did a number on my tools. It's like holding it on the grinder on the sharp edge.
Well, this is something, one of the strange wonders of wood turning I've never been able to figure out. We sharpen our tools on a stone wheel, but as soon as you get stones or dirt on a piece of timber, it doesn't sharpen them. It takes the edge off.
Yeah.
You reckon it should be self-sharpening?
Yeah, true. Same with the bowling ball. With bowling balls, turning bowling balls. Somewhat that material just, you can see the edge of that tool just melting away as if you're holding it on a grinder.
Oh yeah. Jay,
Kate, can you see the chat?
See the chat?
Yeah,
Yep.
I put a link there. See if you can see that.
The AU Live one or the
they're both the same.
It's called witchcar.com.au.
Yeah, it's both the same URL, Cade.
Oh, okay.
But that's what the plastic putty is.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'll have to copy and paste that bad boy. And I can look it up afterwards. Yeah, I'll check that out. Thanks.
All right, cool.
I've tried epoxies and resins and whatnot, but I'm not a big fan of it because it's more of a mess than anything, and the sanding is twice the work that wood would ever be. Because
Yeah,
it's like granite, you have to go to the 1,000, then your micro meshes, and then your wet sanding, and it's just too time consuming.
No, I must admit, I'm not into epoxies and things like that either. He used a little Sorby micro tool, Justin, to get the grooves down it. No, I'm not a fan of resins either. There's some that look good, but most of them tend to go over the top, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
Like you have in a thing that's like a vase or something that's 2 feet long, there's 3 inches of wood and the rest of it's all resin.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it looks okay in minimalistic aspects, but it's so easy to go overboard with.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That sort of thing. And like I said, it takes double, if not triple, the work in finishing to not show any scratches because it's like glass when it's finished.
Yeah.
Where wood, you can hide those scratches in the wood grain, right?
Yep. But like, yeah, I've got a friend that's very heavily into resins and stuff, and I actually bought one of his things because, well, it was a burl. If you can imagine a plate, there's about 2 inches of burl along the bottom of it and about 4 inches of resin over the top. And into that, he set a dragonfly into the resin, and then he's put lights underneath it so that it lights up.
That's
And
cool.
my wife happens to love butterflies and dragonflies, so I had to buy it for her. That was the long and the short of it. I
It's a
weakened for a
real life
moment.
dragonfly?
Yeah, dragonfly.
A real one?
Yeah, real one.
Oh, cool. Embedded in the epoxy type thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, I got to go. I can't stay awake. Sorry.
All
No
right.
worries. No
I
worries,
was
Bob.
up for some reason this morning about 5 o'clock. I had a dog stand over me in bed wanting to go out. And
No,
I've been awake since.
All right.
No
Catch you
worries.
later.
take care,
Yep.
Dr. Bob.
Yep, I sure will. You too. All three of you. Catch you.
Thank you for coming in.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for inviting me. See you later.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Now, do you carve that little nipple off the bottom, or do you sand it off on a belt sander or dirt sander?
Yeah, I've got a belt sander, and then when I get close, I'll just use a sanding pad that I've got on in my drill.
Perfect.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
That's cool.
different. Doesn't look
Yes.
too bad. It's actually
Yeah.
got a little bit of chatoyance in it, though.
And you can see, like, just here, there's a little tiny bit where it bled through, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's
what
only got. Yeah.
That's character.
The vampire
Yes.
bowl.
Yeah. That's cool.
All right, I'm going to go now. I've already got. She's already come out and said, I told you 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes.
It's been 20.
All right, I'm going. Thanks, guys.
See
Yeah,
you,
no
Joe.
problem.
Take
Take
it
care.
easy.
Take it easy. Later.
Too much. Don't take it.